We're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Arm Wrestling Showcase number 43. You all know our host, Kane Fontecchio with Alpha Empire Arm Wrestling, and myself, Josh Edwards with Nowhere to Run. Today, we are talking to some special guests. We have Santino Bravo, we have Danny Dowler, and we have Travis Provencher talking to some guys about the featherweight round robin that's coming up, some cool different things we have going on in the community, and things that we're trying to do for our arm wrestlers in our state. How's everybody doing today? Pretty good?
A little
Young,
sore.
All right, all right.
So I'm it
So,
looks like okay, here we go. Here's our chat. Yeah, we got the Drew in the house already. What's up, Drew? Um so yeah, we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff here, including P.A.L that just passed by. And speaking of having you in the house, Drew, here we are at our new time, 6 p.m. Trying to fit in a nice convenient slot between Derek's show and the Arm Wrestling Buzz, which comes on at 7 o'clock. So,
you,
but
you
yeah.
you did notice that that was moved to Tuesday now, right?
Oh, the Buzz move now?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I like this better anyways.
yeah.
It makes sense. We can just follow right after Derek. He didn't go on live today. But yeah, most weeks that'll flow real nice. We also got Paul Stevens in the house. What's up, Paul?
We
We
call.
got Grace Bear is in the house. She says, I'm at the gym, but I'm here listening. Pop in whenever you want. And so yeah, how's everybody else doing? Let's go down the line. Santino, what's up, man?
Yeah, after that tournament, feeling a little sore. I didn't further aggravate the injury in my left elbow I had going into it. So I got to test it out. Felt good. Now it's just a recovery till nationals in about 2.5 weeks.
Right on,
Heck
man.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that when you have something like going into a tournament. Like I still think I just now made an appointment for my toe that I think is broken. Now I think it's dislocated. I don't know, but it's been jacked since like Thanksgiving. But like it didn't hurt my performance at all. Arm wrestling, it just hurts after.
Oh yeah.
At those events, you're not thinking about that. Your adrenaline's totally going crazy and you don't feel anything. But man, when we got back up to our hotel, I was like crying like a baby, man. This shit hurts. Because I was all up there on the toe, like standing on my
Oh
toes,
yeah.
like trying to get taller. I didn't even think
Have
about
it
it.
wedged against the middle brace there.
Yeah. So
slipped.
what is going on with your elbow, Santino?
Yeah, a few weeks ago at a practice doing some ready goes and got into a fully pronated position, just really driving in and right underneath, like by the tricep pronate area. So any pressure when I'm fully pronated that way would just really hurt. It's the same injury I had last year, like literally the same time before nationals. So as soon as I felt it being a little sore, it's like I already know what this is. Hopefully it's not too bad. I almost didn't go to the Vegas tournament because I was that concerned about it. So
Mm,
took the following 2 weeks off, immediately physical therapy, rehabbing it. Felt good enough to enter then 155s. Then the night before the tournament, I'm in the hotel gym testing it out, seeing how good it feels. Like, okay, feels good enough to pull the 172s. Morning of further testing is like, okay, 190s pushing it, but it's a good test to see how much pressure I can. So while I wasn't 100% at the tournament, it wasn't that I was like my performance was diminished. It's just there's certain positions I couldn't go into or
mm,
hold, or if I did tend to go to those, just let it go. But outside of those positions, it was everything felt perfect. So we're on
right.
track.
That's cool. Yeah.
Tino's the only guy I know that's like, hey, I have an injury. Let me go and pull 100 classes and see if it's too bad.
It's funny because like initially the plan was to pull every class because this would have been my last hard intense workout before nationals. So I was like, okay, I'll do all weight classes. That's about 14 minimum ready goes I can get in. But then once that thing hit, I'm like, oh, that's not smart. And I'm like, maybe I'm not even going to compete left. But fortunately, it isn't too bad, and it held up, and I did all right.
You
Yeah,
you did all right, man. Yeah. You did really well. I was really impressed with all those weight classes you pulled in. You had to be one of the lightest guys there. And
Thank you.
let's get into the tournament in depth a little bit more after we kind of roll through here. We got Danny Dowler in the house as well. What's happening, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good, man. You took home a silver, didn't you, at P.A.L?
Second on right. Kind of messed up in the final match. He changed hand position slightly. He was doing the same press. He changed hand position very slightly, and I got overconfident, and I kind of just told myself, "Oh, don't worry, your hand can be there. It's still going to go the same way it went just a few minutes ago." And it didn't go that way.
Mhm. You're talking about Christian Zepeda, right?
Yeah, Christian in
Yeah.
the final. Um, I felt like I had him, and then he did that. He changed his hand position just slightly in the setup, and I just was overconfident about it and said, "Okay, well, I don't need to change my hand position. You can have that." And I felt confident in the setup, and I think it wasn't confidence; it was me being a little bit cocky and overconfidence,
Right. Right.
and lost that one. But my left. I don't know what happened to my left. My left did not show up for that tournament.
Isn't that
I think
weird when that happens?
yeah, like there was, I don't know, disconnected communication between brain and left arm. It just
Mm,
wasn't doing what I felt it should be doing, and it doesn't feel weak. There was no injuries. It was just, I don't know. And Santino's left, by the way, did not feel like it was injured in any way, shape, or form.
mm-mm, mm-mm.
All. His left actually feels stronger in this tournament than any other time I've faced him. And me and him go back and forth. I mean,
Too
I
many
think,
times.
yeah, yeah. I mean, every tournament that, anywhere near California, it's pretty much, me and him are going to see each other on the table. And his left is just skyrocketed recently. I don't know what you're doing, Santino, but we need to get together.
Oh, definitely.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. And I do want to get into training a little bit with you guys on this episode as well. I think that anybody that is good at that featherweight class, everybody else in every other class needs to listen and pay attention to what they got going on, because you got these guys who are pulling up all the time. You know what, Danny, when's the last time you even got to pull a 155 in the open class?
Oh, that would have been earlier this year, or
Okay.
no?
Last October.
Yeah,
Yes.
but most everything we have in our states is going to be starting at 165.
Because
Yeah.
yeah, I think Reno has been like the only 155 tournament for since me and Danny have been in the sport.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think they run the 154, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, to be good at arm wrestling competitive in heavier classes at that featherweight, yeah, just the technique and the strength both have to really be on par, you know. And good Lord, dude, when I faced you, Santino, just the slip, the power I felt in that hit, I was like, oh crap. Like, yeah, it was definitely to me a very high level hit. It was very, very, very good.
Well,
But
thank you.
yeah, you guys are both very strong, articulate pullers. I see a lot of technique with you, Santino, that translates to strength. I mean, you're strong, definitely, but your technique, I feel like also helps access that a lot better. And Danny, you're kind of a trip because not that you're not a technical puller, but you're just kind of powerful. You do you, and for your size, it's pretty impressive. You know what I mean?
I am my reaction time honestly sucks,
Mm,
and so that's why it looks like half the time I'm not hitting. And it's because my reaction time wasn't from right here. My reaction time was here. You know,
Mm,
that's where I responded, you know. But lately I feel like I've really improved on my timing on the hit. And I think that's really making a difference right now.
great, great. Yeah, yeah, timing's tough, man. And there's so many ways that you can do it. Focusing on the ref, like actually visually looking at the ref, watching the hand, watching the shoulder. Yeah, for me, it's going to be different with different people. I never look at the ref myself, but there's some guys like Christian or other dudes that like to shoot the shoulder in. Like that's what I'm watching off the start because that's the only thing I know I have to beat. Like I have to beat that shoulder from, getting here basically. Sometimes it might be a hand thing. But yeah, great job, both you guys in the tournament. And we also have in the house Mr. Travis Provence. What's happening, brother?
What's going on, guys? Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, Santino, that was extremely impressive to watch him. Like I've already said, like for a guy that weighs that much, like that shit's super impressive. So,
Yeah.
Danny's was super impressive. I mean, going to War Christian's press, like, that's impressive in itself. So,
Yeah,
I
dude.
mean,
I salute you on that, man. You
yeah,
get a win from him, stop that press. I haven't been able to do that lately, man.
yeah, man. I watched you stop it. I'm like, how are you stopping that press? I'm like, I cannot. I'm like, I know I'm not a super weak guy by any means, but god damn, Christian's press is ridiculous. So, yeah, for you to stop that, impressive. But I was happy to see my guy come in first place. So, sorry,
Yeah.
Danny.
Yeah. Christian's interesting because it's like if you're gonna stop that press, it's gotta happen early, He's so proficient and good at getting to the point of no return, like quickly. He's able to get to here like in just a brilliant, fast way. If it's here, it's gonna be a tough day getting out of there. Yeah, I think when you pinned him, the first time, you kind of it was like right on that edge. Like I think he got like right to here, and you took out his pronator, I think, at that point.
What it was is with his press, he likes to go lower on the palm,
Mm-hmm.
goes into a flop wrist press, which kind of pushes your arm out slightly more than it actually pulls it down. So the only thing that I could think of to do was to grip the hell out of his thumb, cap, and just choke the shit out of his thumb.
Mm,
As he went for the flop press, I kind of brought my arm up here. And so he ended up trying to bring my hand down, kind of like this. From there, he lost all power to keep my hand down because I was on top of his and just pulled his thumb over. Because if
okay.
you notice,
All right, Christian, you're screwed, man. Screwed. All right.
but the final match, the hand shift that he did, he came away from my palm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's how he goes against me. He had getting the cup.
Away from my palm farther than he had in the previous match. I should have responded better to it. I didn't. I was just overconfident, fucked up. But the chop that he does,
Yep.
he chops it in and flop wrist presses down, right? Um, so sorry, my roommate and his kid. But yeah, he flop wrist presses, but he chops it in first and then goes for the flop.
Yeah.
that's what really breaks your wrist if you're not ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
an technique. I'd love to actually when I get to practice next, I want to
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a tactician of that move for sure. Devin Knox says, "Oh shit, it's my favorite two featherweights." Yeah, man. He also says, "What up, Danny and Santino? Can't wait to see you all at practice tomorrow." And he also says, "What up, Hitman?" So Travis, that
You guys going to be at Mike Saturday?
Not going to be able to make it Saturday, unfortunately.
Danny?
Saturday. Yeah, I probably will, but I'm not doing the super match. It's just too close to nationals. I probably shouldn't even have gone to the Vegas tournament, but I got out of there. That's why I only did one class. Got out of there, no injuries. Good to go for nationals.
okay. Yeah, that mega practice up there is going to be pretty cool this weekend. So Travis, I got to ask, you you've pulled some tournaments. You got some tournaments under your belt now, and going to Vegas for this one, how did you feel about how stacked it was? I mean,
Yeah,
there was
I mean,
over 300 entries for that tournament.
yeah, I mean, that was the busiest tournament I've been to. Looking at it, I mean, I don't know. I mean, in the beginning, they were like pretty quick with the tournament, and then, I mean, after the pros, I just feel like they were kind of just dragging ass on the tournament, and it was kind of like this is taking way too long. Like, I guess as an amateur or even a pro, I guess you kind of have to figure out like when you're gonna pull, because in reality, look, I drove into Vegas that morning. So I got there at like 10:30. Okay. I weighed in and I had to wait till 6 o'clock to pull. So like that was a long wait. That was a super long wait. So granted, I probably should have stayed in Vegas, but yeah, to get there, to drive to get there, and the whole process was like 9, 10 hour day. I don't recommend people doing that. Like by the time I got to pull, like I felt like I was just exhausted, like just from sitting there and watching and whatnot. But um, I mean, and then coming home, I came home that night too. So, I mean, I don't recommend for people to do that. It's just stay at a hotel and just stay the night before and do that. I mean, my girl was like, "Oh, I'll stay home with the kid," because they were doing like a little event or whatever. But I don't recommend people doing that. It's too long of a day. I got home at like 11 o'clock at night after the tournament. So, yeah, the process, I mean, it was for sure too long. But that being said, like I still feel like I could have beaten everybody I faced. Like yeah, like they were strong, but like I know, like I train enough, and I know if I get to like where I need to get to, and I know there's just two things that I'm just lacking on right now that I ever since I've been home, I've just been training it nonstop. So one is ready goes, and then two is side pressure. I feel like those are my two weaknesses for sure. So um yeah, I mean, that's kind of like my take on it. I don't feel like anybody was like, "Oh my God, this person was like extremely dominant."
Hmm.
I don't feel that way. I just feel like I'm too slow. And I just feel like they just get to their comfort spot before I get to mine. Um, I just need to work on my ready goes for sure. And yeah, I mean, side pressure. I feel like my wrist is pretty much all I got right now.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, I'm not like defeated or anything by it. Like I was super pissed off, like coming home, of course, right? Like especially like when you expect to do better than you do.
Yeah.
Um, but that's the name of the game. Like I'm a competitor. I want to win. I don't want to lose. You know what I mean? So um, at the end of the day, I mean, nobody trains to lose. So yeah, I mean, I don't expect to have that kind of performance again. It's just not acceptable. So I hold a high standard for myself. So that's just what it is, you know?
That's good. And well, on the bright side of everything, the tournaments where you take some losses, that's like the kind of losses you want them to be. You want them to be the kind where you can take something away from it. You can get a clear picture. You're like, okay, these people were not stronger. I felt like I didn't even get to access, this or that or whatever. Those are the things where you can kind of see pretty clearly what needs to change, what needs to be worked on. But when you run into those specimens every now and then where it's just like they're smarter, they're stronger, I can't even feel what I need to improve.
Yeah.
That's when it kind of sucks. You're like, yo, what do I work on? Like, but if you walked away from that feeling like you were not defeated in terms of strength or the work that you've been putting in on strength training, then that's good. You know what techniques, you said speed, little things like that, side pressure. It's perfect. And to me, that's the fun part of this journey, you know. There's a lot of people, in fact, that uh come into the sport dominant. They'll only see like the local state level, but they'll come in dominant and then you'll never see them again because it's boring. It's boring for them. They come in and they experienced what it was like to beat everybody on an arm wrestling team or everybody in like, Southern California or something. And they're like, why am I doing it? And they just don't move on. But then there's it's one of the reasons I really appreciate Mega Mike.
Mhm.
Um, you know, he my first tournament was his first tournament. I believe we both competed in Long Beach in 2019 or something like that. And he just blew through everybody. Scott Partington showed up to pull masters, but nobody else was pulling masters at that event. So Denise ended up opening it up for anybody that wanted to go against Scott Partington, and Mega Mike went against Scott Partington. I feel like he beat him too. But yeah, Mike's was one of those guys that just came in and like beat everybody around our local area. But what I respect about him so much is he kept going. He just kept,
Yeah.
kept training and kept kicking ass. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, I mean, I love watching other people compete too, but I mean, when I see other people on like their timing, I'm like, okay, like you know what the funny thing is, like I know going in what I need to do, but like once you're on that table, for some reason, like it's just like all out the window. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Like sometimes I'm like that. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like to
That's the
me,
other monster to
yeah,
the
I'm just
yeah,
like, okay, what am I supposed to do? I'm like, oh my God, this is retarded. And so,
right.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I've never, when it comes to like these Northern California guys, I'm like, I've never seen these guys pull. So I'm over here rooting these guys on. I'm like, I've never seen them pull, but like, I know they're good people. So I'm like, I'm cheering them on. And I'm just like, I like to pick their brains and stuff like that too. It's like, cool. It's nice pulling with our local guys, you know what I mean, that we pull with, but it's like, I want to get on the table with some of these other guys and I just want to feel how they feel. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean I got into two divisions. I won one round in the 180,
90.
yeah, 190. Was it the 190 class? Yeah, 190 class. I won one match in the 190 class. There was one guy in 172. I think he won the 172s, and I think he could be pro. Um, he won the 172 amateurs right-handed, but he was a shorter guy, but he was like his side drag was really strong. That was probably the strongest that I felt like. And he probably should have been in pro, but I mean, if I used my length, I should have beat him. But I was trying to meet him like down low, which is stupid. So, um, yeah, there's no. I mean, if I'm facing a guy that's like 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", like I should have a dominant advantage up, against that person, especially if I have the length on them and I know I'm stronger than them. Like there should be no reason unless they've been in this damn sport for 4 years. So yeah, there's just small errors that I'm just like I need to fix them because I know I'm there. I just have to execute. So, you know,
The the thing about things going out the window in tournaments and stuff like that, that's one of the biggest reasons why our team we started really pushing practice matches at practice. We kind of make a thing of it, you know, and have some mock refs and everything, because it in itself, you know, there's training to learn techniques, how to execute techniques, how to get stronger and stuff like that. But I personally believe that the process of competing is something you have to train for all by itself. Just that process, that psychology and stuff like that, getting used to you know, what happens in the setup, and being able to, like, you know, constantly run through your options and how to adjust. um yeah, it just takes repetition. You did bring up something that I thought was interesting about having to wait for the amateurs. So that was my first tournament that I competed in, where the open classes got to go first. And of course, I loved it. I didn't have to
Yeah. Yeah.
for the women in the amateur classes to go first. Typically I'm sympathizing exactly with what you're talking about. So for me, I really enjoyed it, and I could see from your perspective that ran a long ways. And so there's an interesting kind of topic there, because when we do go with the amateurs first and the women, um, you know, the open class does have to wait, but I feel like they typically wait less, you know. You know, the amateur classes are usually a bit smaller in numbers.
Yeah.
I guess it can be hit or miss depending on the event. But yeah, there was like the bulk of the turnout for that event was the open class, I think. So it took a while to get through all that for you.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think I wouldn't have been like so worried about like the time frame on how long you waited if it wasn't for me driving down the same day. And if I would have waited the day before, I would have probably showed up at like 3 o'clock, to be honest, or 2 o'clock, because that's what time we pulled last year, was about
Right.
2:30 for amateurs. So I'm thinking going in, I'm like, okay, 2:30. If I knew we were going to be pulling closer to 4 or 5 or 6, which actually 6:10 is actually when I started pulling.
Right.
Um,
Right.
if I would have known about, I probably would have came back. I probably would have went out to eat, and I probably would have just relaxed and had a big meal, because I didn't really eat. Like I eat, you know, specific food. So I'm like, I'm not going to eat a bag of chips pre competing. That's stupid.
Right.
So for me at least, um, yeah, I mean, so I mean, there's a few different factors. Like I was completely like, yeah, I don't know. No excuses. I sucked. So just get
No.
better.
Well, it's
Stop. You know
bittersweet.
what I mean? Like,
It's bittersweet because it was for a good reason, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah,
as Sean
yeah,
Hancock explained at the end, this year they doubled the competitor count.
yeah,
Last year I believe it was like around 150 people that registered for the event. So they were not, like, even though they ran 3 tables, mostly two with a warm up, I guess, but
yeah,
um they were not expecting that. So he did at the end mention, you know, sorry, and everything ran long, you know, we weren't expecting over 300. So they're going to try and facilitate for that
I
next
know
year.
he was a shorter ref. So I think Rick Pinkney from Canada was supposed to be there too, and he was supposed to
Oh,
ref, but I
yeah.
guess he couldn't make it last minute or something. So yeah, they were shorter ref because that's why there were 3 tables, but only two up and running.
Yeah.
well, I think what was kind of impressive to me on how big of a turnout that uh was because there was no cash payouts.
Right. This is kind of a qualifier, wasn't it? Or were they running that as a qualifier or no?
I have no idea.
No, he's trying to. This is something that he's been working on the last few years to making this even bigger, and not just like a tournament Vegas, but like it is a North American championship where we're getting guys from Canada coming in,
Which
Mexico
they did.
coming in,
Yeah.
international guys coming in, and there were, I think he posted like 5 countries competed at that tournament were represented. So each year it's growing bigger and bigger into more of an international spot for people to show up at.
Yeah, it's more of the prestige at that place. Right.
Right.
I wanted to add something, actually, what Travis was talking about, and you were talking about, like feeling the jitters up there and forgetting
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do. One of the biggest things that helped me was from Alan Fisher, right? And he said that when he goes up to the table, he doesn't try to fight for a grip. He doesn't try to play games. He sets up completely square. He squares his shoulders. He keeps still. That way, the ref doesn't have to touch him and get him out of his zone, right? So he's already going there with his job. I'm going to come up. I'm not going to fight for grip. If you want to fight me, go ahead. I'm going to keep my shoulders square. The ref doesn't ever have to touch me, hardly ever, right? And that way it takes away that whole I got to move. Okay, I got to move, and all this extra stuff added onto your plate. Um, on top of that, the repetition of it, everything will slow down. Everything will slow down. But that helped me a ton. And a lot of people ask me, like, why don't you fight for a grip and fight more? I don't know. I'd rather just set up like as fair as possible and go from there. That's why I really like referees grips. I really like that because it's like, okay, the referee's going to set up as fair as possible. I don't have to worry about him fighting me or me fighting him. Let's go. And when the ref says go, we start. Um, you know, so yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to add to that. It really helped a lot with me.
Really good
Okay.
point. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that.
Good
It
advice for sure.
it expends a lot less energy too, not fighting. It took me a while to realize that I don't have to fight in most cases. If someone keeps trying to crank around my hand and start me in a supinated position, I'll kind of go with it so that they're not, taking everything, but I'm not fighting because the one inevitability is, I guess, if you have good refs, no ref's going to start you like that. They're gonna straighten you out. So let them do their job. If the other person's fighting, make the ref mess with them, not you. It
Right.
expends a lot less energy. That was my biggest downfall with Mike Brown at your Kringle poll, Travis. What's funny is I already knew not to do that, but he was such a good tactician, both psychologically, verbally, and physically to coax you into it, dude. I fell into it, like a rabbit in a trap, so easy.
Any combat thing, any combat sport is mental, right? There's a big mental
Right.
part of it. And going back to like what Alan was saying about just sitting there, that also messes with people when they go up there and
Yes.
you're not worried about fighting. They're
Yeah.
like, why is this guy so comfortable? It gets right in their head. They're like, he's just letting me grab wherever I want. He must
Right.
be fucking strong. Right. So there's also that. There's also that part.
So I do have to say Santino did it fucking perfect on our left-hand match this last weekend. He would not allow any kind of back pressure or pronation pressure that I was giving him and kept going limp wrist and going, I'm not going to fight against his pressure to the ref.
Yep.
And I was like, in my moment, I was like, God damn it, Santino. But in truth, I'm like, all right, dude, good fucking job.
And
Good fucking job.
also, because it's not like Danny's loading up a ton, like trying to pull me off the table. He's just trying to lock in. But as soon as I feel that, I know if I go completely limp, it'll go a lot more. So I'm taking that tiny bit Danny has and making it even bigger. And also, it's important to let the ref know and make note of that. Like, I'm not going to match his load. He's the one who's doing all this back pressure and stuff. I'm just here, like Josh is saying, just squares everything. This is all him.
Yeah. Yeah. You know who else was good at that was what's his name? Gabriel Young. I remember pulling him in a tournament. He did the same thing. It was I wanted to load against him back so bad, but you just kept just that little bit because he's so limp. You're just taking him and then he complains and then you're like, ah.
And then he'll flash you.
Yeah, basically, because that's where he wants to start is limping fast. Todd Calazo's in the house. What's up, Todd? He says statics, statics, statics. Yeah, man. I'm not going to complain with that. You got to have plenty of that. Yeah, I love all of Elijah's static videos. That's nuts. I don't know if I've brought it up before, but one of my favorite what exercises I guess I did was with ET. Derek had us do it, but had us just stay center table and give 30% pressure for 5 minutes. You know, we couldn't pin each other, but we had to apply a static 30% for 5 minutes, ran a timer, and then when the 5 minutes was up, he said go. And then you had to go and actually try and fight in a arm wrestling, like find your way to the pin pad. Never experienced a pump like that in my life. It was nuts. I strongly recommend anybody try it if you know how to pull safe. It was pretty fun.
Just to circle back on what Travis was saying about, that being comfortable or taken out of your comfort once you step up to that table. I have a pretty organized routine before every tournament, assuming I'm not reffing or helping put on to where that just takes everything out. But I don't minimum hour and a half before is when I start, no earlier for warm-ups. And I like to take my time and thoroughly get everything warmed up. And one of the things I do is a whole routine before anyone's there is I'm at whether it's 2 tables, 3 tables, or how many, I'm at every table. I'm going through every possible motion, just like shadow boxing, just slowly, methodically, every position, elbow here, here, here. Because I have it recorded, because I always record it just to see what's going on. But doing that gets you completely familiar with every angle, every spot at that table, every position your foot could be in. So when you get up there, there's never a spot you're going to feel out of comfort. And especially because not every table is the same, not every elbow pad feels the same. Because before every tournament, I'll go on and feel where are the slick spots at this table. Where's the spot where if I apply pressure, it's just going to pop off. So knowing those spots on each table, on each side, helps me get a complete comfort at the table. So when I'm up there, I don't have to worry about this isn't how I set up. It's like I've already done through this like an hour ago. I'm completely relaxed. So that's something that helps me mentally check in and get completely comfortable. So when I'm at the table, it's just another day.
Very cool. Man, you're dropping some genius right there. I think that's really good advice for anybody because the majority of us, when we warm up, it looks very different. We're primarily just focusing on get the kink out of the wrist. Let's warm up our lat. Let's warm up our side.
Especially when it's a mad dash for those spots at the table. You try to like get up as quickly as you can, warm up as fast so you can get ready. Versus I usually don't warm up the table anymore. Maybe just like you're saying, static isolation holds is the only way I'll warm up at the table with a person using 2 hands.
Right.
Otherwise, all my stuff is out off the table, and it's not just arm wrestling moves that I'm warming up. I'm warming up my entire muscle chain from lats, back, shoulders, traps, biceps, everything. And it's all slowly, light, take a little rest, get back at it, increase the intensity a little bit rest, up and up. So by the time everyone's getting ready to warm up, I'm done warmed up. I'm just staying at that level. And it depends. Like on that tournament, I'm pulling 6 classes. So my warm up's going to be a little bit different than if I'm just focused on 2. But it's
Right.
one of those things that arm wrestlers are terrible at warming up. Like any strength athlete, anyone never goes in to attempt a max effort cold. That's a great way to underperform and get injured. When they're doing all these max effort lists, you don't start with just a little light green band or a little wrist flexion, like, okay, I'm going to do max effort. No athlete does that. No matter what sport, from like little league to like high pros, there's a method in which you warm up to get the most out of your performances. And arm wrestlers, unfortunately, haven't figured out how to properly do that.
Mm,
But that's
yeah.
something I really focus on before tournaments, making sure everything's ready to go.
What I really like about that is, yeah, I feel like we all do need that little bit of pressure and the things that we do, waking up the lat, waking up this and that before the event. We all have time to do that usually before our class comes up or something. Because you're really just kind of waking up those muscles, feeling kind of a decent amount of pressure. But I really like that shadow boxing thing and how that is something you really could have the availability and time to do like an hour before an event starts because nobody's doing that, you
No.
know. you're not feeling the table, feeling your moves, defensive catch, offensive hit, like, that's really smart because you're simply for that day, but before you compete, you're waking up that muscle memory to those motions. That's brilliant. I love it. Yeah, it's cool stuff. We've also got another featherweight in the chat, Derek Trung. What's up, my teammate Derek? We call him Big Derek, and yeah, Derek Smith's going to be our little Derek now. We used to call Derek Trung Little Derek, but yeah, Derek's too powerful. I think I'm going to send you the link too, Derek, if you want to pop in here. Josh, did you want to kind
Yeah.
of lead us in on some discussion while I'm sending him the link on the round robin, the featherweight round robin?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Please.
that'd be great. That'd be great. Yeah, Santino and Danny, especially, are both of you guys planning on being a part of this, or is it kind of a maybe, um, or is this like yes, you guys are going to be a part of the round robin?
Danny?
Yeah, definitely going to be there. Yep.
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, are you going to be a part of the round robin?
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You'll be able to make that 145 weight, no problem, right?
Yeah. It's after Nash.
Yeah, I got about 15, 20 pounds to spare. I think I could get it.
I think so.
Okay, cool. So,
Yeah.
I definitely want to talk to you guys because you guys have a ton of experience outside of California. It looks like we have right now, what, 12? It looks like 12 people, right? Right around there. We have right around 12. Do you guys think that it is best if each of the round robin matches is a best of 3 and then the final is a best of 5? Or are they all best of 3? You guys as competitors and guys who go out and do this, what do you guys think is the best for the athletes?
Yeah, that's hard to say. It's kind of based on the individual there. For me, I like round robins because it's kind of more of an endurance deal, who still has it after that many goddamn matches. So I would feel, and make it 5 fucking rounds the entire time. But depends on, everybody else. How do you feel,
Okay.
son?
Yeah, I like that idea of like, best of 3, then best of 5. But sometimes I don't know how many matches are planned that day, so that might run long. Another way that could be done is, since there's 12, we go like round robin to the top 6. Then that top 6 goes into like best of 3 semifinals and the best of 5 for the finals, what have you.
Final 2. Yep.
That
Yeah,
might
well,
save on some time. But yeah, I do like the idea of having some matches that are, more than one round.
okay. Yeah, the reason I was asking is because obviously these other round robins that have popped up, throughout the United States, they have like the things where they just do amount of rounds. It's one match each, but then at the amount of rounds at the end of the 10 rounds or whatever it is, they accumulate the points, and this guy won this many and lost this many. There's also options like that. But yeah, the only round robin I've ever seen is at Christian's tournament at the Compound Battle Royale. That was with Kane, Caleb, Chewy, and Mike Brown. So that's the only, and that was 4 guys. And it was really cool the way they ran that. But what they didn't do there, which I noticed, and this is one of my biggest questions, is the guys who lost didn't go on to have matches with the other guys who lost. It was only the winners went on. Does that make the most sense for something like this? Like only the winners go on? Like if you lose a match, you're out?
I don't think so because like example, like us at this tournament, me and Danny have to go up against each other first on the left arm, which that could be a possible finals matchup for that class. But one person gets this side of the bracket, the other person gets that side of the bracket. Like Danny was saying, he underperformed, but I don't think that could have been completely different if Danny doesn't match up with me first. But also,
Right.
like you're saying, this best of three, I just popped in my head like an old school Dragon Ball World's Martial Arts tournament where everyone draws like a number. It's like this is your matchup, best of three.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be kind of awesome. The only reason I'm asking all these things is because obviously we have some work to do with the numbers and how to work out the logistics of everything because we're trying to formulate a ranking, right? So that's why I'm asking about the losers. Like the losers also, the B side also needs to be a B side, right? That way we can figure out who's 7, 8, 9, 10, or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But yeah, so
If it
yeah,
is a round robin,
I
I
guess,
think everyone should at least poll everyone at least once rather than having them go B side loser out. Because I think they're like we're
okay.
saying different matchups could get different things.
Yeah,
Right.
styles, absolutely. Yeah, to me, well, Josh and I have discussed this thoroughly, and I think, yeah, both you and I, Josh, this is kind of what's got us the most amped about it, and what deserves a good majority of the attention for this event, because, like you said, we're establishing a brand new class, a brand new featherweight class, which is huge. So, to me, the
Yeah,
important
I think this is the highlight. Uh, Not to take away from anything else, but this is the thing that I'm the most excited about. Like it's so cool because I've heard the murmurs in the crowd since I've started about, man, they need a lighter class, and there's so many guys that are that weight. So yeah,
right.
I think it's going to excite a lot of people. I think that the numbers at the tournaments are only going to grow because of things like this.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to feel like, wow, I can go to this tournament and have a shot at that ranking instead of thinking I'm 30 pounds lighter than this guy. It's going to be hard for me to ever even get there. I got to be Tino's level or Danny's level just to have a match with these guys.
Or especially just
Right.
like the recent Vegas tournament. Anyone's watching that, seeing someone like me or some like Danny take it to these higher weight classes and think, okay, I've gripped up with this guy. Yeah, he's stronger, but the difference isn't that big. You know what? I might take a shot at these weight classes too to give myself a chance rather than going in with a defeated mindset like, oh, I stand no chance to begin with.
Right. Right.
That's a lot of the reason why, I know Santino, we pull higher weight classes is just, a lot of it is for the fact of, no, you can be our size, be our height, size, and you can still be competitive, with everybody else.
Absolutely.
So here's the big question to add on to this for you guys because all rankings have both hands. Do we need to whittle it down that way it works out to where we can do a left and a right-handed round robin and establish both sides of the rankings? Or is that you think
That's a
it's
tough one because that's almost like the time of a whole tournament for both arms. And that could be something we could split up like how last year thinking of like having something at the start of a year and at the end of the year. So we could start, with the right arm since everyone seems to be more right arm dominant, then later on get to the left arm. That way we can really focus in on that aspect.
yeah, that definitely makes sense for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely a few creative ways we can make it work. I think for all those reasons that you guys brought up, the two main criteria need to be one, what there's time for within a lot of super matches, but also that if we are establishing a top 10 for that class, brand new, there needs to be a lot of emphasis on solidification. If it were just kind of like ran like a 12-man tournament or something like that, and you can get eliminated that quick and not pull everybody, to me that's not very solidifying to create a ranking off of. So however we can make it so that everyone does pull everybody, and at least the final 6, it starts into best of 3. And then if I like that, we need these matches to solidify their rankings for sure, so that everyone feels good about it, and that the process to establish it was right. So in terms of creative methods, I mean, we ran 2 tables, right, Josh, last year, and
Yeah,
for
once we
actual
jumped to
super
the
matches,
left hand.
and
Yeah.
it went really well. Both sides, had great energy going. So there's the possibility. I was already thinking that it should be 2 tables just for that right-handed, round robin, which
Well,
would
see,
make
I was thinking
uber fast.
4.
But oh,
I was
okay,
thinking 4 this time because um obviously it was, it's cool to have the individual super matches, but almost like the movie Over the Top, right? How they started with the final 8, and then the stages went down, and then it was the
down to
semifinals, and then
1,
it was down in the single table in the middle, right?
right?
So we can not only do that with the round robin, but we can also do that with the other super matches, like the lower level ones, and then we'll have our, 10 or whatever that's the main event, right? And that stage there, it divides in half, and both halves are plenty big enough to, if we wanted to separate it. And then separately from that, you remember that patio. I mean, that patio outside will also, if we wanted to, have areas where different stuff is going on, almost like an arm wrestling expo, right? Where there's different, you got your round robin over here this side, you got your amateur super matches on this side, whatever. The option is there. I'm just saying it doesn't mean that we have to do that, but the option is there if we get it too crazy. Because right now, we have like 35 super matches, or challenge matches, whatever you want to call them, that are already set besides the round robin. So
Which
yeah.
will also be reduced mildly. We still need to take an inventory on it. I wish Tommy Heron was in here. He could chime in. I did send him the link, but like Tommy Heron, we arranged a super match for him, right? But with Aiden Craig, and that was done so quickly before we decided to do the featherweight round robin. So we do need to reach out to anybody that was set up a match. It would only
Well,
make
just
sense
give
for
them,
them to.
just give them the option. Just give them the option, like, because some people still might just want to have the match or whatever, and then some people might want to be a part of the round robin. But either way,
Right.
I would feel like, remember how we were talking about, like, boxing and other sports where there's a number one contender and you kind of have to work your way up the ladder to get that title shot. Well, almost the same way, like any of the winners of those matches that were at that weight would be the guys that would have like the next ranking matches to get in that ranking, if
Absolutely.
it was something along those lines.
Yeah. What makes this so important to me too is, yeah, it just cracks the nut for so many great opportunities. Once that top 10 is established, the rest of the year, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of call out matches and people trying to shake things up. Um, and for the sport in general, I don't know about you guys up north, but down here in the South, I'm sure Travis, you can attest to this. Featherweights, they keep coming in. We keep getting new arm wrestlers in the featherweight range, and that's like where they sit comfortably. And how do we expect to build the sport in the state of California when all these people are coming in here at that weight, and we're not facilitating a weight class for them?
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
so I feel like this is like I feel like no other state really does a weight class like this, right? Like,
Hmm.
and like Kane said, we're having so many featherweights coming in. Like, I feel like we need to do something special for these featherweights. Like, I feel like there has to be like a championship belt on the line or something like that.
Oh yeah. Hey,
Right. I
Like,
love it.
you know what I'm saying?
have you been
Like,
talking to people?
A
Hey, it's
big a
already
big
in the
rig
works, brother.
truck.
Thanks.
They get a
You're
big rig
spilling the
truck.
fucking beans, Travis.
They get a big rig truck, and we call this the over the top featherweight round robin.
Boom, there it
Do
is.
this, do the
There it
same
is.
thing. 4 tables, whittle it down to 1. We got to get Cobra Rose reffing. just the whole 9 yards. We got to get
And,
somebody in a suit with, with the proper mic and everything like that.
I
and
think
there's got
there's
to
going
be
to be another table given away too. I got to talk to Eric, but I think he said that he was going to make another one. I'm sure he will, but
Amazing.
yeah. So we're definitely gonna have some cool stuff, and then the owner of the place, like, he's helping with a couple of things like that. Yeah. So there's gonna be some championship belts. There's gonna be some really cool medals that have that shield emblem of Crusader that'll say like North versus South or whatever we want to put on it. But yeah, there'll be a cool award for the super match winners, and for we're gonna do like some type of overall thing. So like the winners of each match will be able to, one round go through or whatever, and somebody will walk away with that championship belt for right and left.
Good stuff. I dig it. Yeah,
So
man, everybody better come to this event. This event's gonna be crazy. So much fun. I loved the first one, and I can already tell this one's gonna be amazing. Let me catch up with the
well, yeah,
chat.
and then and then we got the documentary that you're
Yep.
doing all that good stuff, and people send in footage and stuff like that. So they're going to be able to see their hard work and everything that they put together, put out on a platform that we can all share and you know watch. Hopefully, it becomes a staple because Kane's definitely busting his butt over there, and this is super cool to have like our own little California arm wrestling documentary. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
There's something I want to touch on that actually. So like as we mentioned last episode or something, that we were going to safety net this, and we can't expect everybody to self-initiate and do their own video journaling and send it to me. People are. I need more though. And so the plan for this weekend, Josh is going to be up north at the mega practice at Mike McGraw's. I'm going to be at Christian's mega practice. I can't make it to my team practice Sunday because of some family stuff going on. So this week I'm going to go to Christian's deal. A few North people are coming down to that too. So I'm going to do what you're doing, Josh. Josh is going to be getting a bunch of video clips from a bunch of Northern North versus South competitors up there. Do short little interviews with them, see where they're at with their training, what they think about their match, their competitor, the trials they've got to
And you
over.
said keep them at like you said keep them at like 2 to 3 minutes or something, right?
Yeah, like anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes. 1 to 2 minutes would be ideal
Okay.
for a clip, but just
Okay.
no more than three. We can send that back and forth reasonably, and it won't bog things down. Be less editing for me as well. But I'll do the same thing over at Christian's mega practice. I'll get as many video interviews with a lot of people down here as I can, and all these things are going to contribute to it. So anybody going to Christian's mega practice Saturday, I think afternoon, evening, come see me there, and we'll get some footage for North versus South. Excited to see Chewy at that one, my North versus South competitor. I'm gonna have to ask
Yeah.
somebody else to interview him because it might be weird.
Wait. You said you're North versus South. Are you guys having a match?
Oh, Chewy and I?
Yeah.
Yeah, we confirmed. Yeah. Yeah, well, he got back to me eventually. Yeah, it's happening. Right hand, yeah, right hand Chewy and I, and left hand Adam Eddy reached out. He wants a match, left-handed. So we're doing
Okay.
that. And I watched the North versus South footage. I think he was pulling one of our OC team
Mm-hmm.
guys. And yeah, dude, I'll give him that match for sure. This
Canes, I'll give him that smoke.
let's do this. Let's do this, Adam. No, I really appreciate the call out on that, Adam. It's gonna be fun. We
All
got
them Bay Area guys up there are studs, man. They
yeah,
all work hard. They all yeah. Well, I mean, everybody does. We're blessed. We have a cool community, but yeah, I don't know. I love like going to the different teams and seeing how they all work, their thing. That's why I gave, Santino the compliment that I did because he's like the professor. He's like Professor X.
Uh,
And he's like, look, I got all my X-Men and I'm bust them out when I need to. It's amazing.
Yeah, I was watching him work with some amateurs. You were there for a little bit of the after pulls, I
A
feel like,
little, yes.
Yeah, I was very impressed with some of the things you were showing him. Very smart stuff.
Thank you.
Well, hello, little bear, Grace Bear, what's happening? How you doing? Unmute, unmute, unmute. Bring back.
Did I get it?
You got it. You got it. What are we bringing back? Let me see. A bull. I can get on that
Make
camp.
your screen bigger for those that can't see it in the back.
I can
Sorry,
definitely
I'm
get on
late.
that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess bullying's different now. It's like done on social media and stuff like that. But boy, did I appreciate bullies growing up. They were good, man. Yeah.
Honestly, it's just the difference in the generational gaps and the way that this generation is being raised versus a couple generations ago. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think things can change.
Right. Well, one thing that's different, I mean, I don't know if there can even be safe bullying anymore, but like, because people take things too far when there's an actual like fight. But when I
You
was
can
a
really
kid and there was bullies,
constructive
it meant something.
criticism.
Yeah, it meant something completely different when I was a kid. It was fun, some kid bullied you, you went out on the playground and you guys fought, and that was it. Then you learned something from it and it was over. Now you got like, some kid got picked on and so he comes back with his AK-47 or whatever, and it's just,
That's very different. This
yeah.
is arm wrestling specific though, so I got
Oh, I like
I
it.
got the back for it. Wait.
The compound. I love it. Yeah. I don't know. Based on the front of your
Amen.
shirt, I think you've been hanging out with Adam Silver too much.
Ooh, not enough.
Bodybuilding bully.
He's a hard guy to find.
Yeah, man. He's such a bully.
Hey,
Uh,
how do I get on this round robin?
oh, you want to get on the featherweight round robin? I love it. Hey, Josh.
What one dude is not enough for you, huh?
I kind of like this.
I
I kind
mean,
of
I'm wearing this shirt, so I gotta kind of stick with what I'm wearing right now. So what's up?
like Oh, that would be
Uh, let's take a
No, it's okay.
vote.
Whatever
Santino,
happens.
Danny, what do you think?
I I have no problems with it at all.
No problems here.
Has no problems with it.
All right, you're in.
Yeah, you should do it. You should do it for sure.
It's 145 weight class.
Oh, you want me to get down to 145?
That can be tough. You're not okay. All right. I'm not going to
I'll
go
do my
there.
best.
All right. So let me catch up with the chat real quick here. Devin Knox says my tennis coach told me you have to re-earn your skills every time you walk onto the court. So he's referring to what you're shadow boxing, warming up before a tournament and all that stuff. Really good insight there. He says you can't take your technique for granted. It must be re-earned every day. I like that. That's a really good point there. He also says it's not a round robin if losers are out of the tournament. That would make it a single elimination. Round robin, by definition, means everyone faces everyone. Win-loss record at the end determines the winner. Yep. Yep. And he also says, okay, I can't shut up about tennis, but it's a perfect analog for arm wrestling because they're both one-on-one sports. This is true. And yeah, he says big tennis tournaments have like 20 plus tournaments with matches all playing at the same time, referring to how we're going to try and maybe do right and left for the round robin. I don't know. Like I could definitely see, making it a round robin makes it longer. So that in itself makes the right hand alone pretty long. So yeah, we do got to kind of get our heads together quickly here and think of a creative way that, maybe we can pull it. Here's the thing. I don't know if you're gone, Josh, but the thing that would concern me, the thing I don't want to see is it being done in two different locations, you know. Um, for the round robin itself and establishing a featherweight class, it's just important to me. I think it deserves the main stage. I'd like to see it all in one place. What do you think about that, Josh?
What?
So for the round robin, I'm kind of more partial to
All on one stage?
all on one stage. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I mean
if we can find a way to do right and left, you know.
I never wanted to do two tables last year, bro.
Oh,
Like, to
right.
be honest, I just did it, because everybody was like, oh, it's taking a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Okay.
yeah, I would. We can have a 29-hour tournament. How about that? Let's break records.
I'll bring the
Bring your
card with
sleeping
me.
bag.
Instead of the 24 hours of Le Mans, the 24 hours of arm wrestling.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do it. Rib Slug says, "Damn, I wish y'all did this featherweight." Wait, are you meaning do you wish you were doing the feather? What does River Welch weigh? Is he a 145 guy?
No, he's in that area right there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, hit us up, River. If you're in that weight and you want to do it, we're trying to establish a list, not only people that are in that weight range, but this is to establish a 145-pound top 10 in California, right? So there has to be people that can compete with Santino, that can compete with Danny. Now that's saying a lot because they're at a high level. They're even good in weight classes above them, but we'd like to get people that. Here's the names we've tentatively got. We got Santino, we got Danny, we got Brandon Ryan. Is that the way I pronounce it? Okay,
Right.
so Brandon Ryan, we got Manny from Team Alpha Empire, Brian Butcher from my team also. We've got Brandon Brownfield. Then we got the Craig brothers, Aiden Craig and Nolan Craig. That brings us to 8 people. We've also got Tommy Heron from down in San Diego. Derek Trung from my team. We've got Ricky Chavez. Yeah. Yeah, we all love Derek. We love Derek. Ricky Chavez, Ricky Rivera, and Alden Salazar. That's 13 names right there. If we threw River in there, that's going to be 14. But you know,
15.
yeah, we could land. Yeah, there you go. Land it right at 15. Um, and to establish a top 10, it would be nice to have something more than 10 people competing for that. Let's see. Also, we've got ranking before. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So he says, "Damn, I wish y'all did the featherweight ranking before I gained the weight." Oh, you could take that weight back off. You got like what? How many months? This is going to be July 20th. So we're in March, April, May, June. That's like 4 months, bro. You could do it. You could do it. How much weight are we talking about? Ace Juan is in the house. He says, we've got Adrian Martin says, give her weight lenience. So Adrian says that you should get in that in any way.
I would say
Get jacked.
If I did that, we get canceled.
Okay, so Grace, we were talking P.A.L. earlier,
Mhm.
and which you did a phenomenal job with. Can you tell us where you landed in the tournament?
So I pulled in the 0 to 154 and also in the 155 to 170 weight class. They had 3 weight classes for women this time, so that was really cool. So I pulled both weight classes and I got second on both arms in both weight classes. I met a girl from Canada who is competing again this weekend, and I heard that she was going to East versus West, but she was definitely an inspiration in that tournament to look up to. Patrina Brooks. Yeah, so
Yeah.
shout out to her. She
Monster.
was strong on the table.
Yeah, her setup looked insane.
Yeah, it was the grip for me. I wasn't expecting all that fight from her, and that definitely threw me off. And so getting to experience that, her speed at my weight, because she was in the 154 weight class, and I mean 170, and but her speed overall, it felt like Lear and Wilson when I pulled her in Arizona. It was the same exact feeling, and it scared out of me because she's a little bit lighter than Lear, and it was a big shock. Very impressive.
Yeah, you did really well though. You took second to her? Was it?
Second in my weight class and in the 170s.
Amazing. Yeah, good job. Good job. Heck yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's always good watching your team compete. All of you guys are super fun. I can't help but rooting for you, even when we got our Alpha Empires. I'm like, man, yeah, you guys are
I
all
still
great.
love cheering for you guys too. We're all Southern California.
True. Yep. Yeah, River Welch says, you know how hard it is for us skinny guys to gain weight. LOL, but I'll consider. Yeah, he says he worked pretty hard to get up to 165, 170. I know the fight, man. Yeah,
Stay there.
just get strong.
No, Rivers, he's thickened up, man. Like he don't want to lose that. No,
Yeah.
it did. It took him a long time, but he's big now. He's big.
Nice. Run with it. Run with that ball.
145, that'll be a little string bean.
Yeah. Devin Knox says, congrats, River. I know the struggle. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. I have to eat a lot to be at that exact weight that you're at right now. And I can't imagine going down to 145 now. So yeah. So we've got there's something else I wanted to talk about today.
Training.
Yeah, I do want to hit training, but I do want to touch on the sponsorship of the California Arm Wrestler. We need to talk about that. So this is happening. The GoFundMe is already pretty much set up. I just haven't gone live with it yet because the general consensus right now, Josh and I have decided that the best way to do this is to establish a list to vote on from the team heads throughout the state. All of the northern teams, each team captain, like Santino, is going to pick 2 people from their two people, one from the north, one from the south, which also makes it interesting. Because now Santino from the north, he can look down at our end of the state and say who he thinks is the best candidate to put on the nomination list. Josh will be able to do the same thing with his team. Derek Smith will be able to do the same thing with ours.
Wait a minute.
Yep.
Did you say that each guy is going to pick a guy from each side?
Oh, wait. No. But that could be cool.
It sounded really cool. I was like, wait, that's a great idea.
I like that. It kind of makes it less biased. You're kind of picking
That's the
your,
biggest thing I want
your
to always stay away from, right?
yeah,
And
you're
that's what we were
picking
talking
your
about.
champion and then forced to look outside of your area. I was just getting a
Yeah.
little ahead of myself, I guess, because that's what the result will be in the vote.
No,
We
I
have to
think the
pick.
universe made it come out that way for a reason.
Okay, I'll take it. I'll
How
take it.
many are you looking to be on that list? Like in case like multiple teams are sending out the same name.
We'd love to whittle it down to like a top 10, right? Of people that we can make a poll and then let the community then stick their foot in and vote. And then we'll take the votes and we want to pick one person from the north and one person from the south to be sponsored, right? Is that
Yeah,
am I right on that?
right.
Or
And
no?
that will be an interesting experiment to see if different team heads end up picking some of the same names. And see how that list ends up. But I mean, I can't imagine everyone's going to pick the same name. But so we should be able to, with the amount of teams we have and the different perceptions, we should be able to get a top 10 list, I think, pretty
Right.
easy. Once that list is established from all the team heads, that list is going to go live on social media with the GoFundMe link, and you'll be able to start feeding the GoFundMe right away, but the voting process will commence at that point. So that's going to be happening really soon. We just are starting to collect names from all the team heads. Josh will be a big help with that up north, and I'll be talking to everybody down here to collect those names. Now, so once we do the vote, what's going to be voted on, everyone in the community will be voting for one person from the north out of that list. That one person from the north and one person from the south. We're looking to ultimately sponsor two individuals, and we're looking to make the starting goal for the GoFundMe $4,000. So that's $2,000 for the arm wrestler from the south, 2,000 for the arm wrestler from the north. And that doesn't mean we got to cap it at 4,000. If everyone starts feeling generous and it turns into 5 grand, I think the general consensus will be to just give those two pullers more money for their competition that they're going to go to out of state. But if we just exceed that goal by a lot, we could always add in another vote for it to add in a third arm wrestler or something like that, if that's what the
Right.
community wants to do. But bare minimum, that's the criteria: one from the north, one from the south. Here's part of the criteria, though. We have had well, first off, for those of you that haven't been tuned into this discussion yet, the sponsorship, this is to get two California athletes that deserve it, the chance to be sponsored to compete out of state. At I like the idea of doing it at an event of their choosing, where they want to compete, because that's going to be different for different people where they want to go. But the biggest thing is to give them the opportunity to get out of state and represent, and pull some other pullers outside of California.
That's why we
Now,
figured 2 grand because like per person, that pretty much can get anybody and all expenses paid tournament. That'll give you your food, that'll give you your entry fee, that'll give you your flight, your hotel,
That's
for the
brilliant. That
most
can
part.
bring somebody all the way to Zloty.
yeah, it really could.
Right,
It really
right.
could.
So,
Yeah, it
and
could
that's what it's
either.
about. It's about trying to afford opportunities that might not normally be there, or that somebody, just like, oh, I can't do it now, but I'd love to. Well, that's where we're trying to come in and everybody get together, the community get together and make it happen.
Right. I'd like to take a little tip from Corey Miller. I believe for his 64 series, he was making the payout kind of like a sponsorship of sorts. And I believe his criteria for that is if they chose that option, which was for more money, that it would be directly spent towards the event or something like that. So the last thing I want is to just give somebody $2,000 and they're like, I don't give a shit about this. I'm gonna go, buy a motorcycle or something like that. I
No. Yeah, we gotta like basically they pick their tournament, they pick what they want, and then we're gonna hand them a package with their ticket, their hotel,
exactly.
their everything. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's
how it's got
brilliant.
And so what else about this? Okay, and the other cool thing about this, a lot of GoFundMe's that kind of ran for a short period of time. We're looking to get this started. I'd like to have this out by next week. So I hopefully we can get our list constructed from all of the team heads by next week's show even. And start the GoFundMe right away. That the cutoff date, what we're looking to do is what do we like better, Josh? July 1st, or do you want to do the 13th, which is the week before North versus South?
I mean,
The
the
first,
first is like an even number. It's easy. It's right at the beginning, and then it's. I feel like the 13th would be cutting it close as far as making sure that everything is together. The
right.
first gives us plenty of time to have that all together because we kind of want to do the unveiling, right?
Yeah,
So
so some of you might know kind of what I'm alluding to here, but yeah, so the cutoff date not till July 1st then. And at North versus South is where we will reveal the big winners, who's getting the sponsorship. And
So
yeah, it'll be
exciting.
fun. That'll give us a couple weeks once so the cutoff where we're going to count all the votes will be July 1st, and that'll give us a couple weeks to maybe put together something special for the reveal at North versus South. So this is happening, and what makes it really cool that we're leaving it open until July 1st, that's over what, 3 months? That this GoFundMe is going to be going, so we can really rake in some cash. For these athletes. So yeah, I'm freaking psyched about this. This is awesome.
yeah, me too. I'm psyched that you're willing to handle all this stuff because all I know how to do is talk. So thank you, Kane. Yeah, Kane's handling the GoFundMe, the documentary. I mean, I think he built the building that we're having North versus South at. So, yeah,
Everyone needs an emotional support animal.
yeah. There you go. Yeah.
It's all good times, man. Yeah, I love every minute of it. Uh, little catching up in the chat here. Let's see. Paul Stevens. Okay, here we go. He says, "Yeah, is there going to be a list of all the super matches so we know who's pulling who?"
Yep. Yep.
Cool. All right. And yeah, it sounds like you've already got you said 35, I think.
Yeah,
Confirmed.
roughly. It might be like 32 or 3, somewhere around there. Yeah. Yeah, baby.
We've got Casey Stevens, the Grizzly is in the house. He says this is for sponsorship, not match, Paul. Well, I mean, Paul might just be talking about something else. And I think the chat is on kind of a
No, yeah, I think Paul's just asking about the list of super matches like last year.
right. Right.
Yeah, we'll put out a list of all the matches. We'll put out a list of the round robin. We might even obviously the round robin is going to be some type of bracket form, so we may release like that to those competitors the week or two before. That way they have an idea who their first match is or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, we'll get all that done.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, lot of big things happening, a lot to be excited about. And I gotta go pee on a tree right now. So Santino, if you want to open us up in some discussion on training, But don't save the juicy stuff till I get back.
Everything is. Look, I'll try to postpone this. So obviously, I have a lot of thoughts in regards to training for arm wrestling. Some of them standard, some of them a little bit controversial. I've only ever really focused on table time training. It isn't, I've last year after nationals, I started to do gym stuff. This was the first time ever in my life that I've done gym stuff. So I've been doing that almost a year now. So I've gotten a good feel of what benefits there are from, gym training versus table time training. Obviously, I specialize in table time training. Gym stuff, I should and could be better about tracking weights, reps, sets, lifts, and stuff. Partially the reason why I don't so much is I'm a little bit lazy, but also I think one of the biggest problems with arm wrestling training, especially in gym, is the focus and emphasis on improving the number that is the weight on that lift, to where people tend to forget that arm wrestling is a combat sport, not a weightlifting sport. There's a distinct difference. Obviously, it's one of the combat sports where strength is the determining factor compared to something else. A boxer isn't determined by who can hit the hardest, but the more skills into it. Versus arm wrestling, who can lift the most tends to win, but not always. So that's one problem I see is the focus on these lifts and improving the numbers. And oftentimes we see those numbers don't always equate to the table. So now that Kane's back, I'll get back into briefly what I do for table time training and how
I
I
was
break
listening
down.
to every word too.
Okay.
That was really cool. I like that outlook in terms of like tracking weight and stuff like that. Interesting.
So table time, I got this written down. It's very simple. Obviously, this is a blueprint for what I do. And I think it's a good blueprint for anyone to do. Pick what they need according to their schedules. Like how I practice leading up to, let's say, a tournament, depending on what level tournament is going to be different than how I practice leading up to a super match versus how I'm just having an average practice in the off season, quote unquote. So first thing I like to do at practice is a warm up and slash stretching. So obviously we're familiar with, what is an arm wrestling warm up? You go at the table, you loosen up the wrists, this back and forth, side to side, basically all the arm wrestling vectors, just moving it, getting it loose. Also, depending on certain injuries, I'll incorporate some other stretches. So now that my elbow is a little issue, I'll get to some band work and properly get that stretched out, open, ready to go. All this is done very lightly just to get everything moving. So after that whole period of warm-up stretching is done, I like to go into the next phase of practice, which I consider the strength and conditioning aspect. So for strength conditioning, it is basically what everyone else does at the gym in terms of their lifts, their working sets, their reps stuff. I do at the table with another person. So in strength and conditioning, it's not really any technique involved. So let's say I'm working like a rising pressure. So similar like you would do in a gym, however you work that pressure, I'm doing that at the table with a person. Depending on what workout I had during the week, it'll affect, how many reps I'm doing this, how much sets and how much intensity. The difference is that you don't get a specific measure of what the weight you're moving is with a person compared to a machine. It's very calculated. But what you get instead is that neurological connection at the table with a person. And it's very important to notice about table time training. Everything you do at the table with a person, whether it's very disciplined, organized, and structured, to those ridiculous, stupid end of the practice you're hanging from under the table, everything you have to do at the table translates 100% at the table to a possible match, just because it is in that realm of table. Compared to gym training, one of the things I really want to emphasize is the assumption that what you do in the gym translates to the table. That because you're doing these arm wrestling specific lifts, that therefore that strength automatically, inherently is going to make you better at the table, when that is not true. Okay, there are a lot of guys that can outlift me in arm wrestling specific lifts easily, but we get to the table and it's not the case. Yes, doing arm wrestling training lifts will get you strong in those vectors, but it's important to note that just because you're strong there doesn't mean that's going to translate to the table. You have to do it at the table in order to that work. So strength and conditioning, that's the next step. Then after that aspect, I go into technique work. And I think obviously this is very important. There's a saying that people use is, gym time for strength building, table time for technique work. I hear this from everyone's practice from here in the United States to overseas. And the problem with this aspect is nobody actually does this. They say they do it, but when I'm watching everyone's practices, when I'm watching what they're doing, they're not doing it properly. And that's one thing arm wrestlers have a big problem out is learning and training techniques. When new guys come to me, I'm always the easiest to work with because it's simpler and they're not used to it. Because normally when people work in technique, you get one guy, the veteran at the table, holding him center, and you got about a dozen other guys circling around them, telling him what to do, how to move like this. So that guy is one trying to fight strength-wise and also do that technique, and it just completely overwhelms them. So how I train my technique, whether it's at a table with a person, if I have that, or just by myself at the table, like that shadow boxing, is that it's important to be completely, your opponent, whoever you're training with, completely relaxed, completely limp, no pressure, no fatigue, nothing. You're not working out the muscle movement at all. It's just the motion. It needs to be done very slowly, very methodically. You're thinking as you're doing this, and you drill these rep after rep after rep after rep till you're no longer thinking about it. And the importance of doing it without any resistance, any pressure, is you're building that second nature. So when I'm top rolling, I don't have to think about where my wrist moves, whether my wrist is like posting high, whether it's going low, whether my elbow is on the inside, whether it's on the outside, back here, center, back there. Every motion, every possible way that configuration goes, I've trained it till ad nauseum, till I'm sick of it. I don't have to think. So that's how I like to train technique. And obviously, everyone knows how to top roll. Everyone knows how to hook. Everyone knows how to press. They're basic fundamentals. But when you break it down like this and start training it, you realize there is a whole lot more to these top rolls, hooks, presses than you would think. Just subtle shifts in how your hand is placed and how it moves makes a big difference. But that leads me to the next part of practice is the strategy. The technique and strategy aspect kind of blend into each other. But after I go through the motions of the technique, it's important to understand how this technique actually works. It's one thing going through the motion, but when it's against someone who's completely relaxed, no resistance, you're wondering, okay, if I'm going to low hand, where is this pressure being applied? How does this actually work? So that's where the strategy aspect of it comes in. Now, in this part, we're still doing minimal resistance. We're not fatiguing the muscle. If you start to feel your muscle like tense up at all, you're using way too much force. It's only to get that tactile knowledge of, okay, so when I move like, oh, okay, pressure's being applied right here. And if I move, that's where it is. So I'm going to adjust, okay, pressure I'm feeling here. So that's how I work the strategy aspect of the technique to understand why it is I would want to top roll, why it is I'd want to hook, where these pressures are being applied for defensive maneuvers and also offensive maneuvers. So obviously strategy, go into depth of that. Another aspect of practice after that, I like to go into my setups and positions. So when I step up to the table, how am I setting up? Where is my elbow going to be placed? Where are my feet going to be placed? Am I going to hook? Am I going to top roll? And all this can be completely, again, relaxed, no pressure, no tension. It's just how are you feeling when you step up to this position? Because a lot of people, I think, have this idea of, they go to the table, their setup is the exact same, doesn't matter their opponent, doesn't anything, which there's a benefit to that. You get into this rhythm, you don't have to think about it at all. It's just everything is the same, repetition. The problem with that is you get into this mindset of things have to be a certain way. And it doesn't take much to get thrown off that game plan, or someone sets up differently and you're a fish out of water, you have no idea what to move. Versus we're just practicing how you're setting up, where that grip is. Again, not arm wrestling at all, just setting up so that no matter what opponent you get in, you can recognize certain patterns. Okay, he's setting up like this. I know he's going in for an inside press or a hook, or he's setting up because he's going to low hand. That comes from just practicing going to the table and setting up. Another important aspect is the actual start, that hit, that ready go, that training. That is probably the hardest thing to learn, because what you got to do is unlearn movement. The best hits are the ones that are automatic responses, reflex reaction, no thought at all, because it's a proven fact that a reaction time is faster than an action time, based on the fact that, an action requires an impulse from your brain, signal to your hand to move, hand receives signal, sends back, okay, we're moving. Obviously, fractions of a second is slower than my hand moving automatically without me thinking about it, without me telling it to move. That's the basic premise of that hit. Training that is very difficult because obviously, as much as we like to, we always think about it. So the best way I've found to train this is just one, you be it by yourself or with a partner, completely relaxed again. It's just moving. Just moving my arm at the table. Distract myself, look somewhere else, talk to somebody, and just move. Just get my arm moving. So over and over to where I'm not even thinking about moving my arm, and slowly get faster, just moving it. Don't worry about technique or anything. Just get in the process of having your arm move without thinking about it. So after that aspect of getting the idea of reacting, another way I like to train is just similar to that, just moving, is just hitting over and over again. No one saying ready, go, no timer, no buzzer, nothing, just moving full speed. And it's very important to be mindful of the aspect of, am I tensing up as I'm going in? Because you're going to tense up without even thinking about it. That's going to slow you down because you got to send those impulses to tense up, load up, and then move. Those fractions of a second are determined against someone like me who moves without even thinking. So just hitting, just going into it. A good way to train hits with a person is one person. Again, this isn't full force, full contact, but you're going to hit. One person moves, the other person reacts. So it's just a little. So if I'm gripping up with someone, I do this. I love this training because it's easy to catch people off guard and what they're doing wrong. So it's here. I'll just like that or just that. And as soon as you feel anything, you move, you hit. Obviously, it doesn't have to be to the pin pad or anything. It's just that impulse, that reaction. You do this over and over and over and over and over and over. One person moves, the other person reacts. And eventually what does happen, happens to me all the time at times, is you get, you anticipate that movement. So without even knowing it, you're tensing up, waiting. And what I'll do to test someone if they're really being focused is I'll tense another part of my body. So I'm over here holding the hand peg. I'll be tensing this side, but not my hand. They'll fire off from that because they're anticipating that rather than just close your eyes. As soon as you feel something completely relaxed, move. And I think it's important with this hit training, being fast or having a fast hit, is dispelling the notion that there are slow pullers and there are fast pullers.
Yeah.
This is not true.
Yeah.
The reason why is that reaction. If you have a kid or someone, nephew, niece, son, daughter, and they happen to dart into the street, a car comes in, how quickly you move without even thinking about it, no matter how big you are, to get to that situation compared to some other thing. So you got to get yourself in that mindset of just impulse, reaction, not even thinking, like the doctor tapping your knee at the office. You're just moving without thinking. So that is obviously, there's a lot into that hit, but it's important to break down difference between speed and that quick hit. Because some guys will think, oh, this person's insanely fast. Look how fast I pinned them. When the truth is, speed is determined by what's the formula? Distance traveled divided by the force applied or time or something like that. Basically, if you want to be faster, just be stronger. If I go against a 5-year-old, like how fast can I move that arm? Compared to you, Kane, I can't move you much at all. Is it because I'm slower? No, it's not true. It's just the force I'm applying is not enough to overcome the force that I'm being resisted against. But then you ask yourself, well, how am I, someone who's weaker than a lot of my opponents, able to quickly pin them, even though I'm weaker. Again, it's by the time that pin happens, you're getting that reaction. Oh, it's time to move. It's time to apply my force. So
Right.
no laws of physics are being broken, but my hit is occurring before you're applying that force backwards. And that just comes with impulse. That briefly, if you consider that brief, is the key to getting that hit. So after that aspect of table time training, I like to go into controlled ready goes. So in a controlled ready go, everything square setup, everything. The object isn't necessarily to pin. If you can get the pin, great. If you can't, once that stop hits, you guys work that position out. If you're finding you're just beating your opponent off the go too often, there's no stopping, you hit to a certain position, then work from there. So these are ready goes, but they're more controlled, they're more structured. We're working different angles, different positions, just a rough scrimmage. Then after that aspect, we like to go into a live ready go, full contact to the pin, and so forth. And this one briefly is not so much focused. Like, we're not going to call fouls or things unless they're egregious. This is just to test that brute force you're able to apply. When that match starts, that surge, that second surge. After we get from there, I like to go into very strict ready goes, live ready goes, where we are going to call fouls. We're going to call these things like that. We're going to go into test a referee's grip out. We're going to apply the strap. So I like to save these at the end of practice, just for me, because I have good endurance and it really hammers. Because most of my strength and conditioning build is at the start of practice. All that heavy stuff is towards the beginning. All this is just ancillary work that I like to incorporate. And I think this important is very next up. The last thing is very important, especially for newer pullers, is a deload or a cool down. So after you're done throughout practice, instead of just being cold and stopping forever,
Right.
is get back at the table and just minimal forces all, just get back into the motion, get a little blood flow going. So on your car ride home, it's not a complete shock. Just that brief cool down helps a lot in getting that recovery for the next day, to where it's not a just cold stop and my arm's destroyed.
Right.
So that's briefly as a blueprint of how I like to structure, for me, how I like to practice. Obviously, everyone else is different situations, different scenarios, but I think I find this as to be a useful blueprint. People can take what they want from it, what they find useful. So that briefly is how I like to do table time training. And for everyone knowing, I train at the table every week. And so we have practices here locally Thursday evenings. Then I will go, whether it's the Bay Area, Turlock, or somewhere further up north, where I practice Saturday. Practice for us is about 6, and I'm pulling until 10 p.m. So about 4 hours, plus an additional 3 to 4 hours on the weekend. So I'm getting about roughly 8 to 10 hours table time training every week. And for some people hearing that, it's like, well, that's way too much. That's an insane amount. But if you listen to how I structure my training out, it's never too much. And I think that's the thing. Like,
arm wrestler, like everybody else.
yeah, if you have a practice and once, maybe twice a month, and the reason is because your arms are just destroyed, you can't recover, you're not training in a helpful manner. It's like saying, if someone goes to the gym only once a week and you ask them why, it's, well, because I'm just so destroyed after that. And you just question, are they really training in a productive or safe manner if just one thing throws them out for that long?
Right. Yeah, if they're lucky, they
I
might be
agree with
getting some
that.
strength gains out of it, but for the most part, it's kind of like conditioning, like maybe your tendons and your muscles and joints are getting used to like always feeling like they're getting hit by a, big rig truck. But there's a little bit of conditioning, but it's not very productive to technique and strength gains.
Briefly, if I could touch back on some of the training, is because there's that always aspect. It's like, for me, yeah, it's easy for me to do a lot of this training because I'm the smallest, weakest guy there, versus, like, say, Dare, for example, biggest guy, nobody can match him. How can you really get that much out of a table time practice compared to the gym? And that's a problem, but it's important to really train at the table primarily. And it's important that if you are stronger, like sometimes, a lot of times, my hit is too much for the guys that practice. Even though they're strong enough to catch it, it just, that shock on their tendons is too much. So what we do is incorporate the use of a band, have it wrapped around the shoulder, through the hand or arm, depending what we're working. That way, we're able to get good table time training, good hits, good movements. That's both beneficial for both because it's the aspect of, the senior holds, the junior pulls aspect. The problem with that is a lot of times it's good isometric training, but too often the person holding has their wrist bent like this and the other person really can't work much. So whenever I'm holding, I'm always cognizant of the fact that I got to give everything to them, have them earn it, but like I can't have my wrist cupped. I got to give it all the way out, have them go through the whole range of motion holding. But having the band aspect allows them to, we're going full at it. I'm giving my best effort in these positions and there. And if bands aren't enough, my favorite thing to use is just the other hand. I love training bigger guys with the second hand because even in smaller guys, it saves my arm extra fatigue, but it allows me to specifically pinpoint certain vectors, certain areas to target. Versus it's like, okay, if we're going to train here, I'll pull back here. So that's going to work that radial deviation more than me just trying to do it myself. Versus I can really crack down on your pronator and some of these bigger guys to where they can't really get somewhere. So incorporating another hand in the training aspect will really help fine tune these certain aspects, these certain angles to strengthen that you can't necessarily get strengthened at the gym just because it's just such that odd little spot.
Yeah, this is great, man. I'm definitely gonna clip this, by the way.
Oh,
Clip
I mean,
Absolutely.
I don't want to hog the spot and go into like gym training or like tournament prep beforehand, but I mean, I can.
Nah. No, I think we
Appreciate how
can.
well spoken you are.
Yeah,
I
very
agree with
articulate.
pretty much everything you said, Tino. I people always tell me that I'm on the table too much. I but I do kind of like what you were saying. Most of the days I arm wrestle probably 5 days a week, but four of those days is just going through motions and I shadow arm wrestle by myself on the table all the time. Um, but with a partner a few days a week, just going through the motions, very, very little to no resistance, just same thing. And then that 1 day a week, we'll have our big practice and we'll all go, a little bit more effort, things like that. But yeah, I try to also relate it to people that I see that go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week and they do their, lots of reps and, lower work. That way they're not tearing themselves down and they can continue to do it. So yeah, I agree with that a lot. That's definitely what's helped me to improve for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Every detail of that, I would agree. But, more importantly, there's a lot of specific fundamental teachings. There's a lot I want to touch on in regards to what you said. But there's fundamental aspects, whether someone wants to create variations on what you're talking about, would probably be fine. But some of the bigger fundamental aspects that I see there that are really worth everyone tapping into is, yeah, more productive table time. And more often than not, yeah, you are going to get more crossover to competitive arm wrestling by training strength and technique on the table than in the gym. And I also like that, you know, you do recognize the fact that there are benefits to strength gaining in the gym.
Absolutely.
A lot of times they are going to be more specifically to the gym, and that there is a way to do both, but it's something that is not really done by a good majority of us. And I think those that do it successfully at the very top level, oftentimes they are European full-time career arm wrestlers, where perhaps their training and their programming can be structured as such. Whereas a lot of us with jobs and they can barely, fit enough time to training, we need to pick what's going to be the most effective and relatable route. The part where I definitely advocate gym training is if the table time is productive, that there's certain power, certain elements of power that can be increased in the gym. But I think it's also, learning to isolate what those things are. Um, when you're talking smaller muscle groups and like smaller, fast twitch muscles and things that you're going to be a lot more athletic with in combat, those are probably things you're going to earn in the table. But I do believe that, if it's done productively, pec deck or something like that to get this connection really strong, that's going to be a power element. Your lat, your ability with your bicep and lat to be in here and resist more force. Those are just kind of the fundamental portions of a frame. But, that is it's a good point to, like, who of us can actually do that. Um and I'm definitely trying, but I gotta say the biggest hole in it is work, especially being a tradesman. I bust my ass all week. And so it's hard to find time to do both and like go heavy on a Wednesday and, still get productive table time in, hit this guy. But yeah, so that was one fundamental I see to be really valuable. Lastly is the repetition. We see it in any sport. There's around that, there are so many fine details that you brought up that make so much sense. I 100% agree. There is not people that are just going to be slow the rest of their lives. I was born slow. I can never be fast in arm wrestling. I'd wager to bet for anybody that you think is fast, anybody that we think is fast in arm wrestling, that they had some kind of background that helped train that in some sort. I've had people tell me that I'm fast and that they're slow, and that it's just something that has to come natural to me and it will never come natural to them. No, dude, I wasn't born fast, but I was raised playing football. I was raised playing baseball and basketball and track. And all of those things, they had an element where you had to go from a stationary position and be fast, especially with football and baseball. If you're training running repetitions as a shortstop, and that ball is hit, you don't know where it's going to be hit, where you need to field that ball, and it has to happen quickly. And those things are trained into reaction. But the thing so repetition, I think, is just so important. Any sport, you've got to run repetition of different movements and everything to really train them into muscle memory. But I really love that response training that you're doing. Um, I really believe that through learning to quickly feel and respond to a pressure or movement from an opponent, it helps you to be offensive too.
Yeah,
I
because there's that aspect of sometimes your opponent's going to false start, the referee's not going to call it. And if you train yourself to listen to an audio cue or a movement from the referee, you're still going to be slow. And it's like, well, he false started, but the ref didn't call it. But like you're saying, you train that. I felt something. I'm automatically, without thinking about it, respond. But that's like you're saying, it's repetition. It takes discipline training to develop that.
Right. One thing I've been trying out with my teammates and a lot of new people that I'm trying to train to be faster and more responsive is it's like a progression. I like to start slow with them. So we all do this usually when we're working with somebody that might be newer and weaker. Some people call it holding. I don't like that either. I don't like trying to be dominant and just hold in one place. What I do like is giving them the ability to adjust in every angle slowly, right? Okay, my shoulder's coming forward. What are you doing? Okay, well, I'm coming this way. Okay, what are you doing? And they slowly kind of get the feel of how to respond to that. And the ending to that progression is to land kind of where you're talking about, is starting to do fast movements into each of these. You don't know where I'm going to go. You know, we're going this way, going this, you know, and that little progression from slow to fast, it seems to kind of get it to click into place a little
Like you're
bit.
saying that giving them where to move, that brings up one of my favorite exercises to do, whether it's a new person, experienced person, and it completely takes them out of the mindset of what you would expect in arm wrestling, but really taps into that wrestling, that combat nature. So what I do is minimal forces at all. We're not testing our muscles at all. I take the pads completely off the table. And I have them get into their starting position, a position where they feel no flexing, no tension, but just where they feel strong. They have the perfect spot, perfect setup to where anywhere they can go. Then it's a give and take. Again, completely relaxed, no force being applied, because that's important, because you're going to naturally want to tense up and hold, but it's not. It's a give and take. So the goal of this aspect is how to maintain that strong position with your body. Because obviously we're limited at the pad. So you think, well, what's the difference between if my elbow is here versus like right here? From looking at that, that's no difference at all. And for anyone thinking that doesn't matter. But without having the pads at all, if we extend the difference between here and here out, it's the difference between over here and being over here. So in this aspect, it opens up the table geometry of how to move at the table to maintain those positions. So let's say if I go this way, my opponent's going to mirror that and go with it. It takes. Then they move. Then I go. It's a give and take back and forth. If I go high, they're going to go low to counter. If they go low, I go high. Back this way, they go back that way. It's really a flow, a dance at the table is what this is. And it's completely minimal pressures at all. It's just holding on and just moving, developing that flow, developing that, okay, if they're going to attack this way, ideally, I catch here and I'm in the perfect position.
Right.
Back and forth and over that. From there, we bring it back, we put the pad back on. Same exercise, but now it adds the element of time when you move. So again, they know that, okay, if I move this way, my best position would be up here. But the problem is my elbow is already at the front of the pad. I can't go any further. It's like, okay, I need to be back here a little bit. So when he does move, I can counter. So this aspect is teaching that time and recognizing, okay, I see my opponent's elbow is at this position. I need to attack there because their defense isn't going to be there. So it's that shift, and it's difficult because you'll find yourself feeling good. It's like, oh no, I'm in this exercise, I'm supposed to go up and I can't because I'm already at the front. I can't push my elbow to go higher anymore. So it adds that element of time and figuring out where you need to be at the table at certain times and what are the weaknesses of someone's position. One of my favorite exercises to do.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, removing the pads and kind of making it like freedom arm wrestling, you really can accentuate the movements and really see where those advantages and disadvantages are. Yeah, Josh, I remember you throwing around the idea of running a freedom arm wrestling tournament or something like that. I really want to see that with a good crop of California pullers. Because for those reasons, I feel like it could really like shake things up in terms of who's a good arm wrestler, because a lot of people can move if you give them the freedom to move around a whole table. A lot of people can be really good in that dance about getting around the whole table and utilizing more technique over power and strength to win a match.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was somebody on my team. I can't remember who it was, but we had this little challenge where you have to like crawl under the table to the other side without touching your feet on the ground. Have you guys done that?
Huh?
Yeah. It's pretty fun. Yeah, so I think we were doing freedom arm wrestling and doing a lot of fun stuff like that, and it landed with us challenging each other to like literally climb under the table and hold on to the table and find ways to get under the whole thing and wind up on the other side of the table without touching your feet on the ground. It's wild. Yeah, you should try it.
Oh my my goodness.
Yeah, that's a little off track, but I would love to see I mean you might see some surprises.
Oh,
Like
definitely.
right? Like you might see somebody that just we know dominates at a decent level in California just get beat by somebody that, isn't even ranked or something because they know how to maneuver around
That
that 4x4 or whatever it is.
that brings up a point. Like when I'm arm wrestling a lot of bigger guys, a lot of them are expecting, you want to go post, you want to get outside, you want to have the hands, and a lot of times, obviously, it's practices. Is I go into a hook with them, and it throws them completely off guard. And the reason why a lot of times with bigger guys, I like to go into a hook now that I've gotten a little bit stronger, is because in my opinion, a hook is the most complex technical move in arm wrestling. It doesn't seem like that at first. You think when you get into the sport, like, oh, I'm gonna hook. It's all brute force side, all that stuff. And that's kind of, for the most part, how people hook. And it's like, well, top roll, as Ermi says, that's for smart people.
Uh,
The reason why the hook is, or the top roll is for smart people is because it's easy. It's very simple. Are you higher than your opponent? You're good. Doesn't matter. As long
yeah.
as you have that height, you don't have to be up here. It's just, am I above you? Okay, we're good. Versus a hook, there is so much intricate work. You can have the best thing, but did you set that hook in the right order of operations? That's the key. And
Right.
because it's so technical and where you move, how you move, and in which order you move, because when you break it down, you know the intricacies of a hook and how wildly different it can a good hook, a bad hook, and just a neutral one. And like, how am I able to hold these bigger guys so well, despite them having so much more force? And it's all about that just technical application of where this force is being applied, where my elbow is relative to my wrist, where my pronation is, how much am I supinating, where's my cup, all these things go into. That's why I feel like the hook is the most technical and complex thing to understand when you get into the higher levels of it. Like basic is like, yeah, just hook and pull, drag, whatever, simple. The more you get into it, the more you break down that technique, there is a whole lot more to it. And it's like, well, forget that. I'm just going to stay up in the top roll lane.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's the hook is definitely the deep end. That's for sure. You know, once you get so high in a top roll, there's not a lot of other dynamics that you can get into. But yeah, anything from a high hook to a deep hook, you're right, there's a whole lot of variations going on there. But looks like we've got Tommy Heron in the house. What's up, Tommy? Let me unmute you. Tommy, we have a question for you. I'm going to catch up with the chat here. Until then, though, what do we got? What do we got? Devin Knox says Santino is the best in-person arm wrestling teacher I've yet to come across.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, yeah, man. And
That's on God.
Devin also says every guy has a good tidbit here and there. You can always learn from anyone, but Santino is the total package. Nice, nice. Yeah, I like the way he breaks things down. Paul Stevens says Grizzly, he stopped bullying me. Stacy says told a girl I'm trying to hit and she got mad when I brought my table over. Interesting.
Nice.
Okay. Okay, I get it. A little slow there. And she says different people have different reaction times, though. Brandon Bell says, I don't know. Different people have to, well, they do literally have different reaction times, but the big question is whether or not that can be changed, whether or not that can be trained, whether or not it can be improved in the way you want it to improve.
Yeah, is it a conscious reaction? Like, oh, you move now, I need to move, or is it an unconscious reaction? What I think needs to be trained is it's moving independent of my mind. But again, that it does take effort. It is difficult because even I, like, there are times when I'm at the table and it's like, okay, I'm a little more tense than I want to be, but sometimes that's where the match goes. But then it even further elaborates. loading up in a match. Should you or should you not? And everyone has this idea of what loading is. I think what everyone thinks of loading up is the dumbest thing you can do in a match. It really is. But there is a smart way to load and a dumb way, a bad way. The bad way is just, just that stereotypical image of both guys just trying to jerk each other over the table, just start, just say go, versus a smart way to load is certain aspects. So it's like, okay, is my riser higher, like stronger than him? And I know he's gonna hit somewhere. It's like, okay, I'll have this not fully flex or anything, but a little bit primed, but just this. Not lat, not anything of this, just that. Or if my hand is like, okay, I feel my hand a little bit stronger. I want to give a little cushion there in case, gets me off the go. So it's like, again, not applying that pressure to pull him off center and get that foul, but just have that just primed, ready to go. Just the hand, not the whole arm, not the whole chain. Because again, if you're fully flexed and ready to go, you're not going to be able to have that fast impulse to have everything flexing at once. So there is a smart way to load, and then there's a dumb way to load.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I like to train both in hit training. I like to train both. Obviously the loose grip limp is going to be faster. You'll be able to get into your speed much quicker that way. But I believe there's value in hitting loaded as well. The only way I really perceive loading is some people perceive it as slowing down your opponent off the go, or trying to control them off the go. I find it usually in the straps, but necessary to tap into what you're looking to have engaged, that you feel needs to be engaged off the start. I fall into that circumstance more often in the straps than out of the straps. But if you're in a position where you feel like you need that lat engaged, you feel like it might be separated off the go or something like that, or that whole connection or whatever. But I do believe that they should both be trained, and you can get both pretty fast.
Definitely.
Yeah, and what else we got here? Brandon Bell is laughing, and H1 says Santino is fantastic. Devin Knox says Santino is straight up a high elf from the Elder Scrolls. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, he's definitely like a magician of sorts. And let's see.
That's what we call him. We call him the wizard.
The wizard.
He's a wizard.
Sir. That's perfect.
Yeah.
The wizard of Waverly Place.
lot of high praise. We got Levi Rakowski in the house. What's up? Good to see you again, Levi. And we've got Adrian saying interesting jutsu. Let's see. River Slug really loves the information that you dished out, Santino. And Spacey says, Grace, I saw your war with Tara Terry. Yeah. And it was a good one for sure.
We'll bring that back again.
Yeah, I hope. Devin's forearm is in the house. Let's see. Spacey says, what would it cost to get Santino in a thumbtack match?
And not a thumbtack. It'd have to be higher stakes. Like in those old kung fu movies, before the tournament, they have to like sign a death waiver before they like get up on the stage and compete. So maybe like just have a blade there, complete freedom arm wrestling. Loser ends up losing their hand. Super high stakes.
I love it.
Your own hand.
All right. Devin's forum in the house. Riv Slug says, Coach Santino for president. Devin's forum, Drew. Let's see. Talking to each other a little bit. I prefer non-human entity. Oh, no. Okay. Okay. All right. So, Tommy. What's up, Tommy?
Not much, just finishing up moving. Just got the last load into the house. How do I turn this thing around? Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's a huge mess. I'm putting together the bed right now.
Oh, nice. It's got like drawers in the base too.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
Moved it.
Tommy, you competed in P.A.L as well. How did you
Yep.
land?
I got second in my 155 class for right hand, and then I got third in the 172 right hand, amateur both.
Gorgeous, man. Yeah, that's a good showing. So do you feel good about everything all in all?
Yeah, for
Without
the most part. I mean, every single tournament, there's always something that any arm wrestler can complain about, but all in all of my matches were fair. I just wasn't ready for one of them, and that's on me. And there's nothing that I can really take from that other than be better prepared and just train more for anticipation on the ready go.
right.
Because ultimately, that's what got me second, losing my first match with another Aiden. It's always the Aidens, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, all in all, it was a very good tournament. I had a great time. Would do it again.
And we did discuss earlier the value of practice matches, mostly for the idea of getting used to the psychology of having everything that you've learned be available to you in that match.
Yeah.
Uh, but also, for those little technique aspects and utilization, um, definitely I'm advocate of as many practice matches as possible. I think that there's this thing that happens a lot of times. Oftentimes these guys aren't competing that much, but I feel like there's a lot of guys that you come across in practice regularly that are really good in practice, not so good in competition. And and oftentimes it might keep them from competing because they feel strong in practice. I think the majority of these cases is, and I'm not relating this to you, Tommy. Just the conversation kind of made me think about it, but um, is that they're not practicing enough actual matches and ready goes. And I do believe there's a difference between just, somewhere off in a dark corner, like doing some ready goes without a ref with somebody. Like it might help with some of the muscle memory and movement and reactions and stuff like that. But I do think that there is a value where like your teammates are watching in practice. There's an actual uh, ref, there's a down ref too, and it's really just a simulation of competition. I think that those should be if anybody wants to compete and be successful and not have those instances that we all have where, oh, this happened, like, this was a clear mistake or whatever, or I should have known like to do this or that. I think those are the things that help us fine tune that because there's just so much going on in competition.
Oh yeah, 100%. When I first started out, I was all ready for my weight because of some of the weight training I did before the Navy and then the tedious work I had to do in the Navy. So I came in already pretty strong for the class that I was in, especially right hand. And I went to my first tournament. It was King of Cali last year. And I believe it was in December or like the beginning of January. First tournament, I never prepared for like a tournament setting or anything, and I was just kind of casual at it. But I wanted to see what I could do. I
Yeah,
didn't pressure up. I didn't know what to do in a setup. I had no reaction time for anticipation, and I just got double eliminated immediately by two people that I beat very easily in the next tournament, like 2 months after that.
right.
And it really kind of put me in the mindset that, I can't get mad at losses because if you have the strength and the only problem is what you need to learn, and then you just take what made you lose the match and you work on it, and then you get better, and then you will lose again. And then you just need to fine tune. Is it a strength problem? Is it a mentality problem? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And so far, that's helped me out very well. where I can consistently place in the at least the 154 and all that.
Nice. Nice. Yeah, very cool. Well, I think we're gonna pretty much wrap this up unless you guys want to add anything. Anything you guys want to add at this point?
Man. I'm just taking in everything that Santino is talking about still. I think I need to go back and take notes.
Yeah, I could go on. We didn't get into gym training yet or
I know, it
tournament
was just your
preparation.
intro. I know there's so much. We can keep it going. I need to go get my notebook really quick.
Well, this show is a weekly show, and we could dip into some of this other stuff too. But no, that was there was a lot of things covered there. I'll definitely clip that and put it out.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
great information. Thank you, Santino.
No, I'm
Yeah.
glad you guys find it useful and not me just rambling. Just
No, not at
It's
all.
no, it's not. It's so it's so cool to have one of our peers that we can watch that's so invested. Like I know that it's just a little thing, but one of the biggest things that stood out to me was how you said that you go up and feel all the tables and the little divots and the slick spots. I mean, that's world champion stuff. You know, that's different level. And so what I want to say is it'd be really cool to have like a freaking monthly segment or something with Santino.
Oh, yeah.
No, seriously. You
Oh,
know, like it could be like, you know, Santino says, and it could be like a little thing, and you know, you could have little tips and stuff like that, and each week the people in the comments can have their questions, and then you go back that one show or whatever and say, okay, I'll answer these questions, whatever. But I think it'd be really cool when you know, as much as your time allows it, but you are very good at sharing, you know, your stuff that you've learned and putting it into articulating it in a way that people can easily understand. So yeah.
and to
Yeah,
briefly
think
touch
that'd
on
be
that, I think. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just think the arm wrestling community needs somebody that's well spoken like yourself to be able to explain things in a way that people can hopefully understand and grasp onto. So that's good. Go
Well,
ahead.
thank you. And I'd say partially a lot of the reason why I've gained the knowledge I have, it's not something that's ever taught to me. There was no one saying, "Hey, this is how you armor." So it's just me and my unique position of being significantly weaker, smaller than everyone I started and still am, but having to make everything perfect to maximize what I can in order to just hang in match without getting flashed. But one of the reasons I can speak on this so well is because I do speak with it with my teammates and stuff. And I think I encourage everyone. You don't have to be some expert or know whatever all these in things. You can be perfectly wrong, but vocalizing it, verbalizing it, talking it with someone, passing on that knowledge at the table with someone, what you're doing and how you're doing it. It's the aspect of like writing things down, hopes you learn them faster, helps keep that retain that knowledge, even though it could be something simple like, you know, how to top roll. It's like, yeah, everyone knows how to top roll, but actually talking through it, even just the most basic of things, will help you get a better understand and better explain it better. And I love seeing it when new guys come in or talking to each other at the table, what they learn or what their thoughts are, because that's the biggest thing about arm wrestling is there isn't any right or wrong way to do something. There are different ways that have their unique advantages and disadvantages. And I think that's one of the most important things people can learn is, you know, you'll have someone saying, this is how you do a top roll. This is how you do that. It's like, that's just one way of doing it. This is a combat sport. You're going to find yourself in these odd positions. And like I said, just talking through it, sharing what you know, what your own thoughts just helps you get a better grasp and understanding of the concepts, in my opinion.
now, Santino, you have a lot of new and young pullers that seem to be doing really well. So what I'm curious about is someone like you that thinks with all of these different dynamics, you know, that fall within combat, that can be super over complicated for somebody starting out new. So for the newer people, do you have kind of a fundamental basis that you kind of work them through first and like graduate through this rabbit hole? Or
Absolutely. The
okay.
best way I teach new guys is I don't say anything. I don't tell
Interesting.
them what to do. I don't tell them how to do something. I'll hold, but I'm giving them nothing really. Just feeling out where are they instinctively without thinking, without anything wanting to go. It's like, okay, from there, if I want them to do this, I know where to apply that pressure that forces them to do that. It's not that they like, oh, I'm gonna choose to do this because it's easier. No, I'm forcing it because again, path of least resistance. I apply a wall here. They have no other option than to go this way, and I'm gonna give that to them. So they learned that on their own. I didn't teach them like this is how you do that. And that helps them quickly develop. It's like they're learning these on their own. They're having to think these things out without me having to explain them like this is how you do it. You need to do this, you need to do that. And also it's important to get a grasp of what they're looking for in a practice or in an arm wrestling. Because you hear what I say, what I do at practice, how detailed oriented and so that's just me. Our practice, I feel, is like an open workshop. Everyone has their things they're wanting to do. And I think that's important to understand when new guys come into a club or something is what are they looking to get out of the sport? You know, are they wanting to make this be a professional one day, competing internationally, world level, national level? Do they want to be the best in their state? Do they want to be ranked? Do they just want to be the best at this tournament coming up? Or are they coming into this practice like this is like a pickup game at the park? They just want to make some friends, have a good time, have a little drinks, have some food, just hang out. You know, understanding what people want out of this makes practices a lot easier and it makes it a better environment for everyone because everyone knows the story of that one guy who just wants to beat everybody, wants to win at practice, and we just roll our eyes like, why are you doing that? But I think that's a failure to understand of what are they really wanting out of this practice. Like to them, that whatever practice match, that's their Super Bowl. This is, going to the park and getting after it in a pickup game. This is what it is. Like they don't have any dreams or wants to put in the work, dedication, effort, money, time to be some great polar. They just want to be in the now and enjoy what they have. And understanding that helps, well, me, whenever someone rolls in a practice like that or whatever, understand what they want. So it's not like, oh, this guy's just no, it's like this is what they're wanting out of practice. And it helps everyone else understand too. So it's like they don't have to fight them on this when there's understood that this is what they're working on. This is what they're training. I never tell anyone what to do, how they should do something. It's more like a conversation. What are you wanting to work on? What do you want to do? For me, my biggest pet peeve at practice is that unsolicited advice where you get like two or three guys over your shoulder telling you, no, you don't want to be doing this. You need to do this. It's like, thank you for your input. That's not what I'm working on. If I want to have any input, I'll ask my partner who I'm training with. And that's my aspect. Like, especially with, like you're saying, with new guys, how do I train completely brand new? I don't say anything. No, I'll just guide them through certain things and they learn on their own. Or even better, they ask. It's always better for someone you're training to ask what it is about something rather than giving them some unsolicited advice that just goes in one ear and out the other.
Very interesting. I like it. I like it. And Josh,
Yeah.
I'm tired of you reading my mind, bro. Right when you were thinking about wanting to run a show with Santino, I was thinking the same damn thing. And I like the name. Santino says, is that what you said?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, what's really perfect about that
You know
is
me, everything has to be catchy.
yeah, and once a month would be good if you're down, Santino, or just when
Absolutely.
we can, because just what you've touched on today was so much that we could take, one aspect of that and do a whole, show on talking about hit training, about, responsiveness, the proper way to load. But yeah, I would like to do this and start from square one. A lot of people will benefit on a show for pre-match preparation.
Yeah.
Return.
I'd love to do one especially based on the post that Santino had made about the pre-tournament
Yeah.
prep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Like
post Josh is
it was so good,
talking
so good.
about is I sent it to my team and the Bay Area teams I practice with a lot about, things that I've learned in my experience and just my brief coming up on 3 competition years of what goes into a tournament at every level, whether it's some local event to a world level, things that I've just learned by experience and making mistakes about, warming up, what to bring, what to expect. Like Travis was saying earlier, like, he got there, 11 o'clock expecting to be in there, and he's not pulling until 6 o'clock. That's completely new experience for him versus because I've been fortunate enough to compete at every level from a local level, statewide level, national, international, world levels. Just being a part of those things, you recognize certain things. And in that post Josh was talking about, I just laid out certain things that I found helpful and for what everyone else to think of. But yeah, I would love to touch on some of those aspects in weekly or monthly little little things.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd
Okay,
be
let's
so
do
good.
it. Yeah. Yeah. Good
We
prediction.
we re we really have to do it like a segmented thing though, and Santino knows he's like show business, right? That's part of your, background. Um, so he knows what I'm talking about. Like the segment, like boom, here comes the words across screen with the music, dun dun. Santino says, and then it just comes on, right? And like boom, and then it goes to him. It has to be something like that, right? Um,
Well,
so
I know it'll work with Santino because if with a lot of other people, if they're going to talk training, it really can wind up down a rabbit hole or be not enough information on a particular topic. I can tell that we could literally do a topic on one type of top roll, and I can see Santino picking that apart in an entire hour segment. Just being able to articulate all the different elements of that, start to finish. We could really dig into very fine-tuned topics of training. So yeah,
right.
I think it'll
And
be good.
what it does is for the whole the new crop, like it seems like at least everybody that I've met that's relative to the same time I've been in the sport, they pretty much found the sport through social media, right? YouTube videos, stuff like that. So it feeds to that newer person as well that's coming in. It's going to feed for everybody, but especially them that are looking for the videos or something to watch where they can actually be explained stuff, right? So I think it'll just be a huge, huge tool for the community to use him doing a show.
Agreed. We got John and Renizzi. Johnny Salami is in the house. What's up, Johnny? Good to see you here, man. He says California got some real shit. Every one of you have that technique in arm wrestling. Everyone is different. That's what is fun. Yeah, it's definitely true. There was a good piece of advice I was given when I first started on our team, and it was that right off the bat, you're going to get a lot of advice, Kane, from a lot of people. They're going to be telling you all kinds of shit, and a lot of them are going to contradict each other or whatever. You're going to hear a lot of stuff. Just take it, put it on a shelf up here, and keep it, you know. And as you progress in the sport, find your lane, get better, smarter. You're going to be able to start to understand those things on the shelf better and what you need to take down and pick that applies to you the most. And following that kind of rule, I guess, or that just kind of always staying with me, it really is interesting because there's stuff I put on that shelf like in month one, and I haven't utilized it or understood it, and then suddenly like in year four, it's like, oh shit, oh okay, okay, But yeah, this is going to be cool. We could, and training is one of my favorite topics to discuss on here. So I'm really looking forward to digging deep into that. Devin Knox says Santino's advice gets better as let me as the questions get better. My little heart is like getting in the way of it as the questions get
Well,
better.
tell Devin that he will solely have the job of Santino's audience cheerleader while we do the show. He will be right there. Woo! Every time. I love Devin. Devin's awesome.
Yeah,
Yes,
man. And Johnny Salami says that you, Josh, are a master technician and incredible teacher. Fine
absolutely.
phrasing there.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I
Stephanie says,
appreciate it. I
popping.
try not to let anybody know uh, that I'm not just some dumb hillbilly.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, look, I pretty much, to be honest, like everything came from Mike McGraw and all them, like 95% of it, uh, with a touch of some Santino, when you meet him, he knows what he's doing. Um, and then a few people that I've met here and there. But the majority of it, yeah, it comes from people. The sport's been the same for since it started. Basically, a couple of rules have changed, pad placement, things like that. But the idea, well, okay, once it became arm wrestling, the idea has pretty much been the same, right? The idea of how it's a pulling sport. So knowing that, like, I feel like the people that have like decades in the sport, they're going to tell you the same thing that hasn't changed. And you hear the new up and comers that are like on a blast right now, and they say the same thing. Everybody pretty much like Santino said, there's everybody knows how to top roll, everybody knows how to hook, everybody knows the basic fundamental way, but there's not many that I feel even get that in depth into the intricacies, like what Devin Larratt, like a couple of people like that, that really care about that extra nuance that can take them to a whole different level. Devin also was never the biggest guy, right? He was always tall, but he was never like the most massive frame guy. He always was like outsized by most of his opponents. So he also had to be a technician. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. Santino,
Good point.
I
you the
think
man.
that's what's so interesting and fascinating about especially arm wrestling training is it's so brand new that we're all still figuring out what are the most effective ways to train. Because you think about like bodybuilding, weightlifting, like all that's like hardened down science, like to the detail, to the gram. Like this is how you do it. Versus arm wrestling, it's like we think we have some ideas, but really we're still laying the groundwork. We're still figuring this stuff out. And I think that's what's so fascinating. It's like I learn more from guys completely brand new off the street walking into practice than I do from like guys that have been around the sport for decades just because they're a new person coming into the sport, the new generation, the next generation. And having just that teaching these aspects of like, okay, how do I break this down into something that's easily digestible for them so they're going to immediately pick it up? And through that aspect, I learned so much more. It's like I learn every day from just having new guys show me what they know off the street.
Sure. Yeah.
And the fact that you've only been in the gym for a year, or you said working out for a year. Come
Yeah,
on.
only a year.
Brilliant. I love that you structure your programs as like a powerlifting structure or bodylifting structure. That's great. And I think it can help a lot of people, at least beginners, and they can find out their own ways of making their program their own. So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Totally. Yep. Yeah, because it's a simple fact that at the highest level in this sport, you'll have one crop of elites that are like, I never touch a table, training table with cables because it's not, for whatever reason. And then there's a bunch of elites that like they do that. There's elites that only do table time with humans. There's elites that do the gym thing and and the table time. And so there obviously is variation, maybe depending on the human, and also that we're just kind of figuring this mamma jamma out, but I do find it interesting. I feel like because of the fact that this sport can be so dangerous for new people, we have gotten so careful to just dispense certain fundamentals to them of being safe that it's kind of hard to find, like you were saying, Josh, um, the availability of teachings at a finer tuned level, you know. It does kind of stop, it there'll be experienced people where you might find a new trick here or there that they bring up. But yeah, I really kind of see this almost fear of digging deeper into the sport.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's the overcomplication, but I feel like it starts with the idea that we all started as new, and we're all once we're not, we're working with new people, and there's that just constant kind of carefulness about everything and keeping everything so simple. But we really do need to kind of crack that nut and to, let's dive in deeper. Let's get deeper into this and really figure out all the nuances.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of things that come into play. Even on, you guys were talking about the Ready Goes earlier. Music, for me, has made it to where most of the time I get the jump on people, and it's about timing. It's a high risk, high reward situation. So I'm going completely off of the cadence. And I'm hearing it like music. So I'm going on a rhythm and not waiting for the action of hearing go first. I'm trying to be the go.
Right.
Right. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that play into this. But yeah, really, I like all the stuff that Tino touched on, about the outside work and the doing, making it a second nature, instead of a forced thing.
Right. Right. Yeah, we really can break apart all the intricacies if we just take a fine topic and then really dig into it, you know. That's gonna be good. What's up, Stephanie Spencer? Good to see you here. Yeah, let's hook up on the show another time. I need to close this out and go feed the family and stuff like that. So I appreciate you all for coming on here and everybody for tuning in the chat. Love every single one of you and everything that you contribute to the sport. I'm so happy to be a part of it, and you know, we're all gonna do this thing together. You know what I mean?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
So,
Well said.
okay. Yeah, you guys have a great night. Santino, we'll talk to you more about getting this thing started on some training episodes. And yeah, everybody go to Mike McGraw's if you're in the north. Everybody go to Christian Zepeda's for the mega practice if you're down here in the south. And shoot, if you're in the south, go to Mike McGraw's. Shoot, if you're in the north, go down here to Christian's. Let's just do this. All right, you guys. Have